Hey, what's up? I'm Wes. We're here at Hair Story Studio today, and we are on the orange couch with my Oklahomie, the Erin Johnson. So I'm really excited to dive deep into your journey, your story, because when I think about someone doing all of it, you're kind of it.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? I mean, you are platform artist, you are artist, content creation, video, educator, and you own a salon studio in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
So with your lovely wife.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. And I want to kind of figure out like what started you off in your career.
I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma called Pryor,
Yes.
about an hour outside of Tulsa. Grew up in a rodeo family.
Love it.
My brother is still a straight up cowboy. Yeah, so grew up there. Got into like punk rock and stuff, like just because I would like spend summers with my grandma, and I went to this YMCA camp and met these kids that were like into music, and I just kind of, I don't know, I thought they were cool, so I wanted to like be like that. So instead of like being country boy, I was like, nah, I'm gonna like dye my hair pink and like, you know,
Totally.
yeah, just.
How did pink hair land in Pryor, Oklahoma?
Oh, it was not a popular choice. Yeah. Never grew up around hair. I mean, I went and got my hair done at like a random salon, and then my stepmother was a hairdresser, but never had any interest in doing it until I was 22 is when I decided to go to hair school.
What led you into a space where
Yeah.
you were like, hair
So-
makes sense for me?
So I was playing music. I was in a band from basically the day I graduated high school. I went to Tulsa and was playing music with these guys, and we toured a lot. Not successfully big tours, but just like slumming it in a van and like sleeping on couches
Totally.
and stuff like that. And we had been doing that for like 4 or 5 years, and doing that kind of stuff just wears on your personal relationships with people. And so we were out on the road, and the tour was finished. We're driving home. The drummer and the guitar player were like, we're done. We don't want to do this anymore. And so I'm 22 years old, and I don't know, I had this like weird notion that I would like be able to just maintain that lifestyle for infinity, which is completely ridiculous.
You
But
thought you were going to be in a van forever.
yeah, just that's because that's just what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't care if it made any money. But so I got back, and then tried to like start up other stuff, and it just wasn't really happening, and was getting a lot of pressure from my family to like get my life together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so then this girl I knew just, she was like, have you ever thought about doing hair? And I was like, absolutely not. It's never once crossed my mind. And she said that I can make good money and I get to hang out with women all day. And at the time I was like, that sounds like the most opportunistic job in the world for me. So I enrolled in hair school, really small, Jinx Beauty College.
Awesome.
Cost $3,000.
Love that.
Yeah. So
I love that.
yeah, and then that was it. I pretty much immediately took to it though, and kind of like really enjoyed the process of it. Like even where most people, I think, when they go to hair school, they like having to roll old lady perms, which is what we did a lot back then and in Oklahoma. I really like enjoyed it, like having something to do with my hands. And
It's that I can totally see happening. Because
Yeah.
when I think of you, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Erin work, but it's incredible because you're a meticulous worker.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. So it's not really shocking for me to think like, oh my God, you were the only kid in the class enjoying like the blue perm rod.
yeah.
Which is the smallest perm rod you can
Yeah.
get for those who are like.
So I rolled a lot of perms. Luckily, I mean, since I've graduated cosmetology school in 2003, I think I've done 3 maybe ever outside of school. So, but I think I could still do it if I needed to.
I bet you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having that as a challenge one day.
Yeah, right. See if you do it.
Totally.
So then graduated cosmetology school and found out that Robert Cromines was opening a salon in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And like when you're in cosmetology school, especially in a small school like that, you're not exposed to, like, I didn't know who Vidal Sassoon was. Right. I didn't know what that Sassoon was a company. I had no idea that existed. You know what I mean? You just saw things like Robert Cromeans because he was such a character, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, or the school would go to a hair show and he would be there and he's like this crazy pirate looking Scottish guy. And so you're like, oh, this is what is the pinnacle of like hairdressing.
Right.
And so I knew who he was like all through cosmetology school. And it just so happened that he was opening a salon there. And so I found out about it and interviewed and got the job. And yeah, so that was where I started. So I had to learn how to like be a good assistant, that way, and like help people with their colors and be able to do a good shampoo experience and stuff like that, which was all really big at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the industry doesn't really do that as much because it's not so much fluff. It's more about like, the structure of the way things are done. But then it was all about like,
right,
we're going to, upcharge for this and this and this. And like, we're going to use
totally.
Beer in your hair and champagne,
Right.
chocolate syrup and all
Anything.
kinds of shit like that. So, yeah. So I was an assistant for about a year. Yeah. Yeah. And then went on the floor and started taking clients there.
And is that in that year, is that where you really honed in on really learning how to like cut hair?
It was after actually. So I became a stylist, and was kind of faking my way through cutting hair.
Right.
I actually thought that I was going to be more of a colorist just because based upon the amount of color assisting I was doing.
Right.
And seeing how the top stylists in the salon were making money. It
Yeah.
was all through color, you know what I
Right.
mean? And so, was way more into that, and then blow drying, of course, because I did a lot of blow drying. So it was like you had to find a way to love it, you know what I
Right.
mean? And so, and then so after being an assistant, I'd been on the floor for maybe 2-3 months when we did like a big salon training, and Robert brought Takashi Kitamura and DJ Muldoon out from San Diego to do haircutting training with the staff. And I just happened to get plugged in with DJ there, and that was when everything started to kind of like click for me.
Right.
Which is crazy because if you talk to a lot of hairdressers that are my age that came up through the Paul Mitchell world, it's the same story. DJ was the guy that like introduced them to what Sassoon was and precision haircutting and like what it means to actually like think about haircutting in a different way. He showed me some haircuts, and I just remember those were the only like 3 haircuts I put on people because I was like, well, I'm going to perfect this
Awesome.
because I want him to be able. I want to show him one day, you know what I
You
mean,
did it.
that I could do it. So yeah.
So how did you build from there? Because you mastered those 3 haircuts. 'Cause
Yeah. Well, I tried to. Yeah.
Well, everybody
Yeah.
was getting a haircut.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to learn.
Yeah.
So how did you did that kind of help you to kind of build that base?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then just hearing him talk about the history of like haircutting and how it, kind of evolved in the 60s from Sassoon and stuff. Then you start, the internet was around, so you could poke around a bit. It's not like it is today, but there was still like access. And so you get online and find out where you can buy Sassoon DVDs and stuff like that. And you just start digesting information. I was like consumed by this like wanting to like be better. But then I would see DJ do hair, and just the taste level, you know what I mean, was just out of this world.
Right.
Everything he put on somebody looked incredible. It was weird and like funky, but still like pretty and suitable. You know what I mean? So it was like he could do something that was crazy creative, but it not look like an insane person did the haircut. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, that was where the progression came from. Just kind of diving into the history of that and like just repetition over and over again.
You're a platform artist. You are an educator. A platform artist is really just an educator on stage.
So, hairdresser from out of town.
Exactly.
is what Robert used to say all the time.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how did you start doing that? Because I think that there are a lot of people who are definitely like see you, they see others.
Yeah.
Like you had that moment where you got to work with someone, you got to work with DJ, and he like elevated your thinking and put a passion inside of you to go, oh, that's possible.
Yeah.
So how do you how do people kind of go about that journey? Yeah. And how has it changed?
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, I guess I can kind of keep going down the history and then kind of touch on how I think it's changed. But, for me, I'd been doing hair at that, like at this point for probably like 2-3 years, and decided I wanted to pursue, you know, education, or, you know, actually like you think you want to be Robert, you know what I mean, or a platform artist, you know what I mean, because you're like, oh, that's because I came from a band setting, so I'm like, oh, it's performance, you know what I mean, like and I understood that, and so I start paying my way to go to hair shows, you know, and this was back when hair show circuit was still massive, you know what I mean, and so I would just save up tip money, and then every 3 months I'd get on a plane and, you know, go to New York or go to Vegas or San Diego or whatever it was, and I just started showing up. And you realize really quickly that, like, you know, you have this idea of what it's going to be like, and then you're told you got to be at model prep at 4 a.m, and you're pin ironing, you know, some blonde girl's hair so it looks like she has an afro.
Right.
For, you know, for a stage artist to literally cut it like this short in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? And so all that work, and people don't see that like that's the kind of stuff that goes into it. But so I started just showing up and kind of annoying people, I think, probably just like DJ is like a really good friend of mine now, but like at the time I can imagine that I was just punishing him. You know what I mean? Like asking him questions nonstop, all I wanted to talk about was hair. And I can just imagine, like, I just know how I am now and I try to be gracious with time, but sometimes when people just, like, you know, after you've been working at a show all day and then they see you and they want to talk about hair, you're like, I just want to, like, go watch TV or something, you know, anything but like more hair stuff. But I think that was important that I did that, because I made myself indispensable, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be at so many of them and work so hard when I was there that if I didn't come, that they were like, oh, well, why wasn't Aaron here? And that's what happened. Like, there were, you know, just financially couldn't afford to do it, making an assistant wage, and then got to the point where the team was like, oh, well, you know, we need Aaron to be here because, like, he'll go find 15 models for us if we need it, or he'll, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, he'll walk me to my hotel room after the party. Like, he'll do whatever needs to be done. And so I had a very yes attitude when it came to things. And I think that that's really important as a young hairdresser, is that you say yes to the opportunities that you get, because, you know, you never know, like, what you're going to find out that you're into. And then got added to the show team, not as a stage artist, but just as someone that was going to be at all the stuff. And I mean, I probably did that for 3 or 4 years, but was getting paid to go and, like, you know, getting to do those things without having to do it on my own dime. So I was just always trying to kind of, like, build up to that point. Yeah. And then found out I was going to have a kid. And so had to, like, put all that on hold and move back to Oklahoma, because that's where, you know, his mother was from. And the focus had kind of shifted to, okay, I'm going to work in the salon. I'm going to grind it. You know what I mean? And, like, I'm going to provide for my kid. So did that for a little while. And then kind of just the internet was, like, really coming alive at this time. Like, I would say, like, the online for hairdressers, 2010, 2011 was the time when, like, people were getting into Instagram, you know what I mean? And there started to be a lot more accessibility to people's work. Because at the time, all the way up from the time I graduated cosmetology school in 2003 to 2011, I was pretty much only exposed to, like, this little window of the hair world. Right. And it was Paul Mitchell, and then whatever DJ had explained to me was outside of that. Right. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, the best hairdressers in the world obviously work for this company. Right. You know what I mean? And some great ones do. But then you start following hairdressers on Instagram, and then you're just like, oh, this person is from Chicago, this person's from Baton Rouge, and then people from New York. And, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, there's so many people out there that have, like, similar taste levels and that want to do cool stuff. You know what I mean? And so this is where I think it turns from kind of being singularly focused to, like, hair show stuff to getting into more content creation. Right. Yeah. So, which, I mean, like, you know, you have been doing a lot of video. Yeah. Like, for a while now. Yeah, since about 2012. Yeah. I mean, he's being very humble, which is really cute. But you've won, like, Hairbrain Video Awards year after year. Yeah. I saw your most recent video called Ugly. Yeah. The concept for the video was basically, I got a model, her name's London, I've used her for a bunch of stuff, and we just had her do a really terrible makeup job. I mean, like smudged, like it was just, I mean, like it was good makeup because it was intentional, but it was like, it was supposed to look like bad.
Yeah.
And it's just got a really terrible sounding like piano score behind it. It's very like, it's upsetting to listen to. And I wanted it to be upsetting to watch. The way that we colored it in post-production made it very kind of like sepia, like brownish almost. And it was just really gross looking, I thought. And had her doing a lot of weird motions and stuff. And I just did a bob. Like it was just a haircut. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't do like a gross haircut on this girl. But essentially during the video, there's these little snippets where the screen goes black and there's quotes on screen. And it's actual comments that hairdressers have left on other hairdressers' work. And so what I did was I put out a poll on Instagram, like a little question thing, and it was like, please send me like the meanest thing that somebody has said about your work. And I probably got 150 replies from hairdressers. And it's interesting because like I've done other questions before and gotten a few, but like these are the kind of things that people remember. You know what I mean? Like people remember the ugly things that people say to them. You know, whether they latch onto it or not is one thing, but they, you remember if somebody tells you that your work's terrible.
Right.
I think there's a time and place for criticism of your work, but I don't think it's appropriate to come from some random hairdresser in Nebraska who doesn't put out any content.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think that that's really shitty, like to say something about somebody's work if you're not at least attempting to do the same thing. So that's what the concept was for the video, was just kind of hopefully to start a conversation about the way that we act as hairdressessers. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. It's like, if someone's kind of brave enough to kind of put their work out there, and to kind of get, the truth is like, maybe you don't like it. It's like, why did you spend all that energy kind of like trying to say something like negative about something? And it's like, and there is a time and a place for criticism.
Totally.
You're right. But it's like, but it's also a place where it is a safe space.
Yeah.
Like a class.
Yeah.
Like if I come to see you and I want to learn your technique, I expect you to give me honest feedback about what I could do better, how I can improve. But those are places that I have stepped into in the right mindset. Yeah. Not just being vulnerable, being like, I did this, haircut today, and now these trolls on the internet are being like nasty about it. So how did you build from there?
2011, 2012 is really when I started getting involved in the hairbrain community. So at the time, it was literally like Facebook for hairdressers. You had a profile page with a picture and you posted on your wall. It was literally just, Facebook, but only hairdressers were on it. And I was seeing so much cool stuff. This guy named Josh Flowers, he used to put out these really incredible, like cinematic videos that had themes. They were like story driven. They were like little short films. And I have given him credit for inspiring me to do that since day one. You know what I mean? And like to the point where like in a video that I did, I copied a thing that he did in his video as an homage to him, because it was like so important that I, acknowledged that it wasn't all coming out of my brain. Right. You know what I mean? Like I was, inspired by that person. And so, I got really involved with that, and then started shooting a lot of stuff just on my phone. And we were having a party at a house one night, and this girl wanted a haircut, so I cut her hair in the kitchen. I had my friend Aaron, who's not a hairdresser, like film it on my cell phone, and then just made this like crappy like 45-second video to like a punk rock song. It was like, I think it was a Rancid, video or something like that. And then Hairbrain announced that they were doing the video awards, and there was no entry at the time. If you put it on Hairbrain, it was eligible to be nominated, right? So I didn't even think like, oh, this is gonna get anywhere. I just put it on the site and didn't even really give it two thoughts. And then ended up getting nominated the first year the video awards happened. Then it got my wheels turning. I was like, oh, I got nominated for this, and I didn't even try. Right. I was like, now I can I'm gonna ask for a camera for Christmas. You know what I mean? Right. And I got a crappy little Canon Rebel T5. Right. You know what I mean? The $135, DSLR, and I didn't put that thing down ever. it was like nonstop content creation for that first like 2 years that I was doing it. And then, but then the second year of the HVAs, I won Video of the Year. Yeah. I remember when they were announcing it at the award show, because I was nominated, some random person in the back, and they were like, and the winner is, some random person yells, Aaron Johnson. I was so embarrassed because I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. And then they called my name, and it was so like cool to be acknowledged by people who I respect, because Randy and Gerard, Kelly from Hairbrain are people that I just adore. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they love hairdressers, you know what I mean? And to give them that platform and to literally want nothing back.
I think that's what's really like awesome about what they do, is they really kind of like, they level the playing field really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like, you know, because I was actually there last year when you won. And, you know, like, it's like, there's like Antoinette Benders, like, you know what I mean? I mean, like,
she was a finalist against me. And that's just insane to me.
It's like people who have really like up there, and also have like, they're giving them some money to make these films. Like, it's not like it's just like, oh, here we go. Like, it's not like her hanging out at her house making it like, so, which is beautiful.
Oh,
like, I mean, all of it is so great, but I love that they kind of like even out the playing field and look at it with a really objective eye. And it's so cool.
Well, it's awesome because because I think it would be really easy for Randy and Gerard and Kelly to just pick the ones that they like, and that's the winners. But they don't do that. They actually bring in like people in our industry that are like massive stars. You know what I mean? It's like the best of the best hairdressers in the world are judging your work.
And that's like, I mean, I think that's what's kind of exciting also in the world that we do live in now. You know, I mean, like your whole journey, I mean, like things have progressed, right? I mean, like I was with you, like, dial up, trying to like, trying to find out like who and what the world was about, because my immediate world in Oklahoma was limited, right? Like, it was the view of the world was very small. And so I understand when you're saying like, I come from like a rodeo family, what your limitations are, and to kind of like how the world shift and change in this way, where like suddenly like the whole world is at your fingertips, and you can kind of utilize that and start to create things that are contributions that more than just your best friend gets to see at your house. It's amazing.
You have to search for stuff, you know what I mean? And it's hard because there's so much out there, you know what I mean? It's got to be able to develop your eye, but like it's there if you want. But when it came to like teaching, especially like the hair show part of it, and then creating content with other people, like what I did was I followed hairdressers that I liked, and I literally just sent them a message on Instagram. I mean, all of my best friends in hair pretty much I met within the last like 7 years, and it was just for me being like, hey. And because to me, a lot of great hairdressers have said cool stuff to me in my career. And Robert used to say something that was, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure he got that from somebody else. But like, if you're trying to think of ways to do stuff, and the only way to do stuff is to ask other people that you admire to do stuff, if you don't ask them, you're not going to do it.
Right.
And if you do ask them and they say no, it's the same outcome. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I would do. I'd start sending messages out to people, and very few people said no. If you're interested in that kind of work, you just have to find your people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the way that you do that, especially, I mean, if you live somewhere like here, like New York, I think like you have the opportunity to meet people face to face. If you live in Oklahoma, like I only do hair with like 2 or 3 people from there. One of them is my wife. She's an incredible hairdresser.
Right.
You know what I mean? We collaborate on stuff all the time. Bo lives in Dallas, so we can get together and do stuff. But for the most part, like, there's not a lot of people that are close by. So all you got to do is just reach out. And if they say no, be like, all right, well, screw off. Let's move on to the next person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until you find somebody that you can vibe with. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's what's so amazing. Is
Yeah.
the fact that, like, you know, the world just got smaller
Yeah.
and more accessible.
Yeah.
You're working on some more video education.
Yeah.
With a friend of ours, Mr. Bo Bollinger, who
Mhm.
we all love.
Yeah.
And I don't know when it's bound to come into the world.
We don't know yet either.
But we'll look out for it.
But yeah, the thing with Bo, it's doing a thing called Sunday school education. Kind of landed on that name just because.
I love the name.
Yeah, landed on that name just because. Some hairdressers are off on Sunday.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like, I don't know, religious element to
I
it.
love it.
That sounds fun. We're kind of fleshing out the platform. Basically, shooting full step-by-step tutorials.
Very cool.
With voiceovers. With the way we're doing the voiceovers is not so much like me sitting and watching a screen and be like, step one, take this section. It's kind of like this.
Right.
Like we film us talking about the haircut and there's picture in picture and like it bounces back and forth. And it's kind of podcasty in a way because we might veer off subject for half the haircut and just talk about whatever, we're interested in hair-wise. Going to bring guests on and stuff like that.
Right.
So there's not just going to be me and Bo cutting hair all the time. Like
Right.
we're going to bring in different people that do different things, whether it be color, styling, what I mean, like just business education, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's really valuable. And it's just going to be a subscription-based thing that people can, buy into and opt out of whenever they want to. And hopefully just offers value to people and that it's educational but also entertaining and gives them the opportunity to kind of be exposed to some hairdressers that maybe they don't know about. So
I love that.
I think March-ish.
March-ish?
March-ish is when
March-ish?
it's going to come out. I don't know.
But in the meantime, you are a teacher. I mean, and the way that people can reach out to you is the way that you've reached out to everyone else too, which is DM. Because you can actually go to someone's salon and host a class. You were just here at the studio teaching as well.
Yeah.
So,
anybody that wants to reach me, especially hairdressers especially, welcome to just message me on Instagram.
Awesome.
Just the Aaron Johnson.
Totally.
And I do get back to everybody that will write me.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think that the things that I learned about you today, when I would reduce it down to its core, which is also what I would say for anybody who wants to kind of go on a similar path to you, is, be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say, go find your tribe.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
do it even if it's terrible.
do it if it's terrible.
Yeah, like in that video for Ugly, in the comments section, what I posted about what the video was, like I made sure to point out, like, the first time you take pictures on your phone, it's probably going to be shit. And the first time you shoot a video, it's not going to be good. And you know what I mean? The first time you cut a certain haircut, it's not going to be great. And like, that's okay. Just like keep doing it while other people are talking shit about it.
Yeah.
Let them worry about what it comes out. And you just keep making art or keep practicing your craft or whatever it is. And eventually, like, you'll get to where things are coming out the way you want them to.
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved it. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody at home. Check out the Aaron Johnson. DM this dude if you want to learn some sweet haircuts. Okay? Bye.
Bye.